Stop. Before you spend $1,000, $2,000, or even $3,000 on a new TV, watch this first. Because the television market in 2026 has become incredibly deceptive. Some TVs look spectacular under showroom lights, but after 6 months, the software slows down, the picture doesn't look nearly as impressive at home, and suddenly you're wondering why you spent so much money. Over the last few weeks, I compared dozens of the most popular smart TVs, studied long-term owner experiences, looked through professional reviews, and separated genuine performance from clever marketing. What I found surprised even me. Today, I'll show you 3 TVs you should avoid completely, no matter how tempting the discount looks. Then we'll count down the 7 smartest TVs you can buy in 2026, ending with the one I believe is the best overall TV on the market right now. And trust me, one of the biggest brands in the world isn't nearly as good as people think. The 3 TVs you should never buy. Avoid 3 Samsung Crystal, a DU8000. Let's start with a TV that sells incredibly well. Not because it's amazing, but because it's everywhere. Walk into almost any electronics store and chances are you'll see the Samsung DU8000 on display. The Samsung logo gives buyers confidence. And that's exactly why this TV keeps selling. Now don't get me wrong, for casual viewing, it's perfectly usable. Netflix works, YouTube works, the colors look decent, but that's where the positives start to fade. This isn't a TV built for someone planning to keep it for the next 7 or 8 years. The panel lacks the brightness needed for modern HDR movies. Dark scenes often look flat. Gaming performance is average. And once you've seen a mini LED TV sitting beside it, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. The biggest problem? Price. Samsung is asking buyers to pay a premium simply because of the logo. Meanwhile, TCL and Hisense are offering dramatically better hardware for similar money. You're paying for the name, not the performance. Avoid 2 LG QLED. Now this one is controversial because LG builds some of the best televisions in the world. The problem is, this isn't one of them. The QLED tries to sit between OLED and traditional LED. On paper, mini LED, nanocell, quantum technology. It sounds impressive. In real life, the experience doesn't justify the price. Blooming is still noticeable. Contrast isn't close to OLED. And when you compare it directly with similarly priced mini LED TVs from TCL or Hisense, LG simply loses. You're paying almost OLED money without getting OLED quality. That's a deal I can't recommend. If you want LG, save a little longer and buy the C5 instead. You'll thank yourself every time you watch a movie. Avoid 1 Vizio Quantum Pro. This one hurts. Because Vizio used to be one of the easiest brands to recommend. Amazing value, solid performance, affordable prices. Unfortunately, the market has changed. Competition improved. Vizio didn't improve fast enough. The biggest issue isn't actually the panel, it's the software. Menus feel sluggish, apps occasionally crash. Updates sometimes introduce new bugs instead of fixing old ones. Imagine spending over $1,000, then getting frustrated every single evening just trying to launch Netflix. That's not a premium experience. A television should disappear into the background. You shouldn't constantly be thinking about its software. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happens here. Best TV 7 Hisense U8N. If someone told me 5 years ago that Hisense would be competing with Sony, Samsung, and look, I probably would have laughed. Today, nobody's laughing. The U8N proves just how far Hisense has come. This TV gets unbelievably bright, which means HDR movies actually look like HDR. Sports stay vibrant even in bright living rooms. Gaming feels responsive. And thanks to mini LED technology, contrast has improved dramatically over previous generations. Now, it isn't perfect. Sony still offers better motion processing. LG still has the smoother software experience. But considering the price, it's one of the biggest bargains of 2026. If your budget is under $1,000, the U8N deserves to be near the top of your list. But here's the interesting part. The next TV isn't much more expensive, yet it feels like an entirely different class of television. And that's where this ranking really begins. Best TV 6 TCL QM8 a few years ago. If someone told you TCL would build one of the best smart TVs on the market, you probably wouldn't have believed them. Back then, TCL was known as the budget brand, the TV you bought because you couldn't justify spending more. But 2026 tells a completely different story. The QM8 isn't just a good budget TV, it's a genuinely premium television that happens to cost significantly less than many of its competitors. The first thing you'll notice is the brightness. This TV gets incredibly bright, and unlike cheaper TVs that simply blast the entire screen with light, the QM8 uses thousands of mini LEDs working together with refined local dimming. The result? HDR movies suddenly feel alive. Sunlight reflecting off water, fireworks lighting up the night sky, bright city lights against a dark background, everything looks dramatic without washing out the rest of the image. Then there's gaming. If you're lucky enough to own a PlayStation 5, an Xbox Series X, or a gaming PC, the QM8 checks almost every box. 128 Hz refresh rate, HDMI 2.1. Low input lag. Everything feels smooth. But here's what impressed me the most. It's the balance. Usually, when a company offers flagship specifications at a lower price, they sacrifice something important. Maybe the software. Maybe build quality. Maybe reliability. TCL surprisingly avoids most of those compromises. Google TV remains one of the easiest smart platforms to use. Apps load quickly, navigation feels responsive, voice search actually works, and updates continue arriving regularly. Now, is it perfect? No, Sony still delivers better motion processing. LG still wins for old blacks. Samsung still has slightly stronger anti-reflection technology. But remember, this TV costs hundreds less, and at this price, the QM8 is almost impossible to criticize. Who should buy it? Anyone wanting premium performance without paying premium brand prices. Movie lovers, gamers, families, this TV honestly does everything well. But the next television proves something interesting. Sometimes, paying a little more doesn't just improve picture quality, it changes the entire ownership experience. Best TV 5 Sony Bravia 7. There's something different about Sony. While other brands constantly advertise brighter panels, higher numbers, and flashy marketing terms, Sony quietly focuses on something much harder to measure: consistency. The Bravia 7 isn't trying to win every specification battle. Instead, it focuses on delivering an image that simply looks right. Skin tones appear natural. Movies feel cinematic. Sports remain incredibly smooth. Older content looks surprisingly sharp thanks to Sony's excellent image processing. And here's something you won't notice during the first week of ownership, but you'll absolutely appreciate 5 years later. Sony televisions age remarkably well. The software remains stable, performance stays consistent. Owners regularly keep these TVs much longer than average. That's why repair technicians often recommend Sony. Not because they never break, every television eventually can, but because Sony has built a reputation for reliability that few brands can match. Of course, there are trade-offs. You're paying more than you would for TCL, and if you're only comparing brightness, Samsung might win. But if you're planning to keep this television for the next 8 or 10 years, the Bravia 7 becomes one of the smartest investments you can make. Best TV 4 Samsung S90D QD OLED. This is the TV that made me completely rethink Samsung's OLED strategy. For years, if someone asked me which OLED to buy, LG was almost always my first recommendation. Not because Samsung made bad TVs, but because LG simply had more experience. That changes with the S90D. Samsung finally found the sweet spot. This TV combines the incredible contrast of OLED with the extra color volume that QD OLED technology brings. The result is something that's honestly difficult to describe until you see it in person. Colors don't just look brighter, they look richer, more natural, more lifelike. Watch an HDR nature documentary and suddenly every sunset, every ocean, every forest feels like you're looking through a window instead of a television. Gaming? Absolutely phenomenal. The response time is nearly instant. Fast-paced shooters feel smoother. Racing games look incredibly sharp. Sports remain crystal clear even during rapid camera movements. Samsung also deserves credit for improving one of its biggest weaknesses. Earlier OLED generations raised concerns about long-term durability. The S90D feels far more mature. Better cooling, smarter panel management, improved heat distribution, all of which should help this TV age much more gracefully than earlier old models. Now, no TV is perfect. Samsung's Tizen operating system still divides opinion. Some people love it. Others prefer Google TV or WebOS. Personally, I think it's much better than it used to be. But it's still not my favorite. And that's really the only reason this TV isn't higher. Everything else is flagship quality. Best for movie lovers, competitive gamers, anyone wanting OLED quality without paying flagship Sony prices. But here's where things become really difficult. Because the next three TVs are so close that choosing between them almost feels unfair. Yet one of them consistently impressed professional reviewers, calibrators, and long-term owners more than almost anything else on the market. Best TV 3 LG C5 OLED. There's a reason almost every best TV conversation eventually reaches the LG C series. Year after year, LG keeps refining it, not redesigning it, refining it. And that's exactly what makes the C5 so special. It doesn't rely on flashy marketing. It doesn't promise impossible technology. Instead, it quietly improves all the little things that matter over years of ownership. The processor is faster. The panel is brighter. Heat management is better. Burn-in protection is smarter. Software feels smoother than ever. When you buy the LG C5, you're buying one of the most mature televisions on the market. Let's talk picture quality. Dark scenes? Absolutely stunning. Every pixel controls its own light, which means black isn't dark gray. It's completely black. That's something traditional LED television simply can't replicate. Movies suddenly gain incredible depth. Stars actually shine against a perfectly black sky. Night scenes feel cinematic instead of washed out. Now let's talk gaming. This TV was practically designed for next-generation consoles. 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, 120-inch Dolby Vision gaming. Input lag so low you'll never notice it. Whether you're playing Call of Duty, Spider-Man, or Forza Horizon, everything feels incredibly responsive. Then there's WebOS. Simple, fast, reliable, apps launch quickly. Menus remain smooth. Updates continue for years. That's something people often ignore when buying a TV. Remember, you're not buying a display anymore. You're buying a computer with a screen attached. Good software matters. Very good software matters even more after 5 years. Now, is OLED still vulnerable to burn-in? Technically, yes. But for normal viewing, it's become extremely difficult to trigger. Unless you're displaying static logos all day, you simply shouldn't worry about it anymore. That's how much the technology has improved. The LG C5 isn't just one of the best TVs of 2026. It's one of the safest long-term purchases you can make. Best TV 2 Sony Bravia 9. If there's one TV on this list that feels like it was designed for people who never want to upgrade again, it's this one. The Sony Bravia 9 isn't the TV with the flashiest marketing. It isn't covered in giant sales stickers every weekend. And Sony certainly doesn't release as many models as some of its competitors. Instead, Sony focused on building one television that simply gets almost everything right. The first thing you'll notice isn't the brightness. Although trust me, this TV gets incredibly bright. It's the realism. Watch a Hollywood movie and everything feels natural. Skin tones don't look overly saturated. Grass doesn't glow neon green. Snow actually looks white. Sony has always been famous for its image processing, and the Bravia 9 proves exactly why. Even older content looks better than it has any right to. Cable TV, sports broadcasts, YouTube videos, everything benefits from Sony's processing engine. But let's talk about the reason this TV ranks so highly today. Longevity. Sony has quietly built one of the strongest reputations for long-term reliability in the TV industry. Visit home theater forums, talk to professional calibrators, even repair technicians. One thing keeps coming up. Sony TVs tend to age gracefully, not because they never fail. Every electronic device eventually can, but because Sony rarely cuts corners on the components that matter. Better thermal management, excellent quality control, reliable software, stable performance over time. Those things aren't exciting in a showroom, but you'll appreciate them 5, 6, even 8 years later. Now let's be honest, the Bravia 9 isn't cheap. In fact, it's one of the most expensive TVs on this entire list, which naturally raises the question, is it worth paying that much? Here's how I see it. If you're buying a television you'll use every single day, for the next decade, that extra investment suddenly doesn't seem nearly as expensive, because you're spreading the cost across thousands of hours of entertainment, movies, gaming, sports, streaming, family gatherings, holiday celebrations. It's one of the most used devices in your home. The Bravia 9 isn't just expensive, it's built to justify that price. But somehow, one television impressed me even more, not because it destroys every other TV in one category, but because it delivers the best balance of picture quality, gaming, software, reliability, value, and long-term ownership. If I could recommend just one smart TV to almost anyone watching this video, this would be it. Best TV One LG G5 OLED. This is the TV I'd buy. Not because it's perfect, no television is, but because it comes closer than almost anything else available in 2026. LG didn't reinvent OLED this year. They refined it, again, and honestly, that's exactly what they needed to do. The G5 feels like the result of years of experience. Every generation solved another weakness. Better brightness, better cooling, smarter burn-in protection, a faster processor, improved AI picture optimization, longer software support. Everything about this TV feels polished. Let's start with the picture quality. It's breathtaking. True blacks, incredible contrast, outstanding HDR, brilliant color accuracy. Whether you're watching Netflix, Disney+, 4K Blu-rays, or live sports, the image simply looks premium. Gaming? This TV was practically built for next-generation consoles. 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, 4K at 120 Hz, Dolby Vision gaming, extremely low input lag, no compromises. Then there's WebOS. Simple, fast, reliable, apps load instantly. Menus stay responsive. Updates continue arriving long after cheaper TVs stop receiving support. That's important, because software is often what makes older televisions feel outdated. The G5 avoids that problem remarkably well. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Burn-in. Yes, OLED technology can still experience burn-in under extreme conditions, but for normal users, watching movies, gaming, streaming, it's become incredibly rare. LG has spent years improving panel protection, pixel refresh, logo detection, automatic brightness adjustments, panel cooling. Unless you're leaving the exact same news channel running all day, this simply shouldn't be a deciding factor anymore. And here's the biggest reason it earns number 1. Balance. Some TVs are brighter. Some TVs are cheaper. Some TVs have slightly better anti-reflection coatings. But no television combines premium picture quality, outstanding gaming, reliable software, excellent build quality, and long-term ownership quite like the LG G5. It's the kind of television you buy, set up, and then stop thinking about, which honestly is exactly what a great TV should do. Final verdict. So, after comparing dozens of smart TVs, which ones actually deserve your money? If you're shopping under $1,000, the Hisense U8N and TCL QM8 deliver incredible value. If movies are your priority, it's hard to beat the Sony Bravia 7 or Sony Bravia 9. If you're a serious gamer, the Samsung S90D and LG C5 are phenomenal choices. But if you're asking me, what's the best smart TV you can buy in 2026? My answer is the LG G5 OLED. Not because it dominates every single category, but because it's the most complete television available today. It excels at movies, gaming, sports, streaming, and with proper care, it's built to keep delivering that experience for years to come. Because here's something worth remembering. The best TV isn't the one that looks brightest under showroom lights, it's the one that still makes you smile every time you turn it on 5, 7, or even 10 years later. So don't buy based on marketing. Don't buy because a salesperson tells you to. Buy the TV that fits your room, your budget, and the way you actually watch television. That's how you end up with a purchase you'll never regret. Outro. If this ranking helped you decide which smart TV is worth buying in 2026, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because next we're ranking the 10 TV brands from worst to best, and trust me, the results are going to surprise a lot of people. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.